So hello and welcome everyone to this tutorial session. In this video, we will discuss about Git and GitHub. So we will start off this video by understanding what is Git. After this, we will understand what is GitHub and we will discuss a basic difference between both of them. After understanding what is Git and GitHub, we will understand how we can use them. So within this, we will first understand how we can install and configure Git. We will also see how we can create a GitHub account. Then we will discuss how we can initialize a project in Git. Further, we will see how we can create a GitHub repository. And in the end, we will discuss how we can push a local Git project to GitHub. So without any further delay, let's move to our first topic and understand what is Git. Now Git is an open source software tool that allows us to manage and track the source code of a project. It is based upon the notion of distributed software development where multiple developers can have access to a single application code base and make modifications that are visible to other developers as well. Basically, Git makes it possible for a group of individuals to collaborate on the same file, and it also aids the team in overcoming the misunderstanding that might arise when numerous people work on the same file. So Git was created and developed in 2005 by Linus Torvalds for the development of the Linux kernel. Now Git is free to use and it is available for all the operating systems. Next, let's discuss about GitHub. So as compared to Git, GitHub is a web-based hosting service that allows us to store and share the source code using Git repositories. It includes all the Git functionality as well as some extra collaborative features. For example, code security, project management, and even code hosting. So GitHub enables developers to share repositories, access repositories of other developers, and even backup them remotely. Now both Git and GitHub are separate projects where GitHub was started as a company in 2008, but Microsoft acquired GitHub in 2018. So currently GitHub is managed by Microsoft, where Git on the other hand is an open source project. Now that we got a basic idea related to both Git and GitHub, let's understand how we can use them. Now first we'll discuss how we can install Git and how we can create a GitHub account. Then we will discuss some of the steps to configure Git. Then we will jump on to the next step and understand how we can initialize a project in Git. Then we will discuss how we can add files in our Git repository. After adding files, we will discuss the steps to commit file in Git. Then we will discuss a basic step of creating a GitHub repository. And in the end, we will discuss the basic steps to push a local repository to GitHub. So let's first discuss how we can install Git. Now to install Git, we can simply download its installer. For this, I will open my browser and here I will simply search for Git download and I will open this first result. Now Git is available for all the operating system. You can download Git for any of the operating system. I would like to download it for Windows. So I will simply click on it and from here I will select the 64-bit Git for Windows setup. So I will download this setup by clicking on it and here you can see the download is started. So once the download is completed, run this executable. Once we run this executable, it will open this Git setup. So from here simply click on next. Here you can select the location where you want to save the Git. So I will keep it as it is. Again, here we can select the components that we want to install with Git. So I will keep this default setting and simply click on next and again click on next and I will simply click the default settings again and simply install it. So once this installation is completed, we can click on finish to close this. Now to check whether Git is properly installed or not, we can open our search bar and here we can search for Git bash. So when we install Git, it will install two tools. One is Git bash for bash commands and one is Git cmd, which will be a command line tool. So I will be using Git bash. Now here we can check the version of Git by using this command git space hyphen version. So here you can see it has returned the Git version which is 2.35.1. After installing Git, let's also discuss about GitHub. To use GitHub, we need a GitHub account. So let's understand how we can create it. So for this, I will navigate to my browser first. Here I will simply open this URL which is github.com. Now from this home page, simply click on sign up. Now here we have to follow up some small steps to create the GitHub account. You can easily follow up this. After creating a GitHub account, let's discuss how we can configure Git. Now for this configuration, we need to set the username and email address with Git. And for this task, we can use the following steps. So I will be executing all of my steps in Git bash. To add the username, we can simply use this command, which is git config space hyphen global then user dot name. Now we have to specify our username within this double quotes. So I will specify the username Python guides and simply click on enter to execute it. So this command will not return anything. After adding the username, we need to add the email address. For this command is quite similar. So instead of user.name, we have to write user.email, and within the double quotes, we have to specify the email address. So I will specify the email address here and simply click on enter. Again, similar to the previous command, this command also doesn't return anything. So with these two commands, we have successfully configured our username and email address with Git. So after configuration, let's discuss how we can initialize our Git project. For this, let me first clear my screen. So first I will create an empty directory. Let me create an empty directory on my desktop only. So first I will move to my desktop. I will type cd desktop. Now here you can see I am within the desktop directory. Under this I will create an empty directory. So I will type mkdir test. So this command will simply create an empty directory with name test. Let's click on enter. So after this, let me move into this test directory. Again, for this I will type cd space test. Here you can see I am within the test directory now. Now I will initialize this test directory as my Git project. So for this I will simply type git init and click enter. So here you can see initialize empty Git repository in the test directory, and basically when we initialize our Git repository, it will automatically add this .git file in it, and here you can see branch name is also coming up. So by default the branch name is master. So now that we have successfully initialized our Git repository, let's add some files to it. So if you remember the previous tutorial, in the previous session we have created our first Python program. So I will add that Python file in this Git repository. So I will simply copy that file. So in the previous session I have created that Python file on my desktop. So I will simply write a cp command to copy the hello.py file within this test directory. So this is the complete command. Here first I have specified my file. So I am copying this hello.py file from the desktop to the test directory, which is also there within this desktop. As I'm already within this test directory, I can use the ls command to check whether the hello file is copied properly or not. So here you can see the result hello.py. So the role of ls command is simply to list out all the files within the current directory. So I am currently in the test directory. So within the test directory there is only one file, which is hello.py. Now till now Git is not tracking the changes within this Git repository. For this, we need to move our file into the staging area and make them available for the next commit. So we can do this by simply using the git add command. So let me clear my screen again. Here we have to use the git add command. So I will type git add. Now there are two options. Either we can use simply a period. So period here simply means that we want to include all the files within our Git repository in the staging area, or we can simply specify the name of the file. So I will simply specify hello.py. Now after moving a file to the staging area, the next step is to commit that file. Now a commit in Git simply means taking a snapshot of the Git project. We can consider this snapshot as a save point of Git project, and we can move back to this point in the future. Now to commit, we will simply use the git commit command. So I will simply type git commit, and with the commit we can specify a message. So for this I will use the -m flag, and within the double quotes we can specify the message. So I will type first Python program and simply click on enter. So here you can see the hello.py file is committed. Next, let's understand how we can create a repository on GitHub. So I will simply open my browser, navigate to the github.com and log in there using my account. So here I have logged into my GitHub account. Now to create a new repository, we simply need to click on this new button. So I will click on new. It will redirect us to the another page. So here we need to specify the name of the repository that we want to create. So I will type here Python course. Here we can provide description for our repository if we want, and here we can select whether we want to keep our repository as publicly available or we want to make it private. And in the last, we can click on this create repository button to create the GitHub repository with this name Python course. So I will click on it. So here you can see I have successfully created my GitHub repository. Now next we will discuss how we can push our locally created Git project to this Python course GitHub repository. So I will open my Git bash again. Now to push the locally created Git project to GitHub, we need to create a connection between the local repository and the remote repository. For this, we will simply use this command, which is git remote add origin. And after this, we have to specify the URL for our repository. So I will open my repository in the browser, and from here I can simply copy this URL and I will paste it here and simply click on enter. So again, this command will also not return anything, but we have created our connection. After creating the connection, the next step is to change the branch from master to main. So by default, when we initialize our project, our master is the branch name, but we have to change this branch name to main. For this, we will use this command, which is git branch, then -m flag, then we have to specify main. Now once we execute this command, you can see the branch name is changed. Earlier it was showing master and now it is showing main. Now in the last, let's use the push command to push the local Git repository to the GitHub. For this, I will simply type git push -u origin and then the branch name, which is main, and simply click on enter. So here you can see it is showing up that it has successfully loaded this amount of data. So with this, we have successfully pushed the local Git project to the remote GitHub repository. Now we can also confirm it by opening the GitHub repository page in our browser. So I will simply refresh this repository page. So here you can see hello.py file is showing up within this repository, and this is the commit message. So with this, we have come to the end of this tutorial session. In the next video, we will discuss about some of the basic Python programming concepts. Till then, thanks for watching. We will see you in the next one.